Okay, are you saying
Hi, Bruce. How are you today?
hi, Shauna? I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me.
Oh, not at all. Not
I
at all. Thank you.
I
You've
think
been
we've been
after
trying to
me.
organize this for a while, so
Yes, we have. Sorry I was so difficult, but wanted to get
never.
all that other stuff
It's all
behind.
good. So one of the reasons why we have had to wait is because you moved into a new place.
Well, that was certainly part of it. It was all that preceded that, the necessity for moving and everything.
So
Yeah.
how are you enjoying your
Total.
new place?
It's good. Yeah, it's working out really well. Yeah.
What do you
Now,
like
my
about what
picture is really tiny. Is
is
that okay?
that's totally okay. It's good for me. It's all good.
Good,
Yeah.
perfect. That's what counts. Yeah, no, it's really, really good, Shauna.
Yeah. What do you like about it?
Well, there's people. I'm not all by myself. And I think, as Bill said, Bill Redmond, when we were first talking about it, and I told him I'd moved, and he said, Bruce, you were never meant to be a hermit.
No, you
And
especially.
he was so right, because here there's people and
Oh,
around, and they do all the cooking. I got 3 meals a day, and I don't have to do the shopping and eat by myself.
that's awesome.
So there's that. There's a lot of activities, which of course I haven't had time to get involved in at this point with all the other things that I do, and which is great. And I'm so close to everything I like.
That's great.
Rotary, um, the skiing is going to be a lot closer because I was doing 40 clicks every time I had to come from the condo I was in West Kelowna and return home, 20 each
Mhm.
way. Now it's a 5 minute walk, or no, 12-minute walk for me to get to Rotary.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, yeah. Anyway, life is good.
So what other activities do you do besides Rotary and skiing?
Well, there's golf involved, and the geriatrics are coming up again, which I
Yay.
enjoy.
Nice.
And I got Larry in that. He got me into it, and Dennis Gerace is in it. So, and our rehearsals are starting in 2 weeks. So that was, every week that was something I had to drive into town, and now we're going to meet just probably about 10 minutes at most from here.
Oh, I
And
love it.
so it's so good. And I can walk to the beach from here. So on Canada Day, I can walk down there. So yeah, everything is handy.
That's awesome.
Oh, I went to one of the things at the big, our municipal theater,
Hmm.
and I could walk to that. I didn't have to park.
That's nice. I know because parking
Yeah.
downtown can be awful. So it's nice to be able to walk over and see whatever you need to
Yep.
do and stuff. That's
You're
fantastic.
you're that close to your office, are you?
I live in West Kelowna by Quails Gate Winery.
Oh, okay.
My
Yes.
office is downtown at the district on Bernard there, but I quite
Right.
often work from my home office.
Oh, that's good.
I used to
Yeah.
go downtown all the time, work from my office, but I like to give my clients options of like, do you want to meet in person or do you want to go on Zoom or whatever? So I think it's
Yeah.
hard for couples to, schedule time to meet me downtown in my office and do that. So I try to be accommodating and it works pretty good.
Yeah.
I work from home quite a bit. So
Right on. That's
yeah,
good. And you don't have to do the bridge when you do it at home.
that's true. And I think my dog and cat like it that I'm around and stuff. So they're not as lonely. So that's awesome.
Right. Oh, that's good.
So let's start from the beginning. Bruce, where were you born? And tell us about your story.
Okie doke. I'm just going to grab something here that I
Sure.
didn't that I didn't move. Okie doke. Okay, I was born in Toronto, and when I was 4 years old, the family moved to Richmond Hill, which had about 900 people living in it. It was a
Is
village
that in
just north of
Ontario? Is that in Ontario? Richmond
Yep,
Hill?
just north of Toronto. Yeah, straight north. And when I think of when we moved there, honestly, it was like a farming community. And mom and dad moved us three kids. I was 4, my brother was 7, and my sister was 1. And that's where we grew up, all 3 of us. And it was wonderful. It was great. Good friends. I'm still friends with the ones that are still alive, fortunately. We keep in touch a bit, and that's great. So it was a great spot to be brought up. Um, so that's where it all started. Um, Joined Cubs, of course, and I learned how to play the trumpet when I was in grade 5, and that was great. I went to high school there. Uh, I did a post grad year in high school because I was having so much fun. I decided I wanted to stay for my 6th year in high school. So that's kind of background on where I was born.
Nice.
Uh, and yeah, so anything further on that kind of info or?
Is that the first time I know music's very important to you in your life? So is that starting the trumpet and stuff, the first introduction into music, or your started your
Well,
passion in music?
started like all of us did on the piano, and I
Oh, did
hated
you
it.
take piano?
I did, and I had to be I started in grade 5 the trumpet, so I was probably in grade 3 or 4 piano, and I just didn't like it at all. So I wanted to quit, and my mom just said, "Well, okay, you can quit piano, but you have to have a musical instrument."
That's funny. That's funny. Our moms drive us to that too. I had to do piano, hated the piano. We were tortured for years to do it. But I'm the oldest of 3 girls, so I think my mom mellowed after each year. So
Have-
after each girl, because I had to do it for a long. Hated it, and then my sister had to do it, but she didn't have to do it as long. And then my youngest sister, I don't know if she did it much at all. So that's funny that that was so
that
driven into them that we had to have some kind of music thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mom was right too. So I picked the trumpet, and of course there was no trumpet teacher in Richmond Hill at that time. So I had to commute down to this almost past the city limits of Toronto. So it was on Yonge Street, south of the northern border of Toronto, if you will. And I ended up with a music teacher. His name was Bobby Jimby. Now, I don't think you would know that name.
Cool
You're
name.
too young. Huh?
It's a cool name.
You remember? Yeah, cool name. And he was a cool guy. He was a great teacher. I really enjoyed him. And he became well known in 1967 because in our centennial year, he became the main trumpet player in all of Canada with that song, Canada, 1, little, 2, little, 3, and he had this trumpet that was all glossied up with gemstones and a big long bell on it and the whole 9 yards. So he was my teacher for a number of years. And from that, I ended up in a trumpet marching band in Toronto with the Boy Scouts. And
Oh,
yeah,
because you did Cubs
so
and then Boy Scouts. I did Brownies and then Girl Guides. That's funny.
we're on the
Similar
same
paths.
path, piano and then music. And
Yeah.
that was great fun because there was a buddy that he and I were in scouts together in Richmond Hill, or Cubs, I guess at the time, hadn't graduated yet to scouts, and he played drums. So we commuted down to the exhibition grounds in because that's where the band could meet indoors and march around the big coliseum playing our trumpets and drums and learning how to march. And the first big thing we did was the jamboree, Scout Jamboree, World Jamboree
Jamborees. Yeah.
in Niagara on the Lake.
Yeah.
And uh, we were the marching band for that entire jamboree.
Wow. It's a lot of people there.
A lot of people, all
Yeah.
from all over the world, being a
Yeah.
world jamboree.
They're huge.
And so, yeah, that gave me that kind of experience. And the trumpet really lasted until high school. And I didn't play with the musical department in the high school because there was other things I wanted to do. So I kind of put the trumpet aside, but I ended up playing taps and reveille for all of the Remembrance Day services.
Oh, very
Because of
nice.
course a lot of the kids coming in and learning their instruments, none of them had played the trumpet much. So I had already played about 3 years of trumpet and marching and stuff. So I ended up doing it by squeaked the high note every year. And
That
so
place.
all my buddies after, and I did it from behind the curtain on the stage, so nobody could see me, but I played it. And every time I'd come out, the guys would, so you squeaked it again, Wilson.
I love it. That's
So
awesome.
that was my trumpet experience there. But when I got to university, went down to Western, I didn't take the trumpet with me. And then I found out that they had a marching band that
Oh,
followed the football team.
oh,
Mustang marching band followed the Mustang football team wherever they went. And I thought, I better get the trumpet. So the first trip back home, I brought the trumpet back to Western and joined the band. They let me in, and I really practiced for a bit because I hadn't blown it for I don't know how long, and got the lip back in shape. And I wanted to play first trumpet, meaning I played the melody, not the harmony notes in the
yeah,
band.
yeah.
That's me being lazy again because
Oh,
I knew the tune and I didn't have to follow the notes properly for the harmony. So, anyways, I got into the band and for 4 years marched with the band and
wow.
all of the games. And of course, the flag party, which was all girls, and the cheerleaders were all girls except for two guys. And they went with the team. So I was in Montreal and in Kingston and just all over the place with the band.
Wow.
So, but when I went to Western, I had taken up playing the guitar when I worked at a scout camp. So my first experience playing that was I was 13 and I was at the camp as a scout, and it was the year of the jamboree. And because I was in that marching band, I was at the camp as a camper, but they needed someone to dry dishes,
Mm.
and they were short someone in the kitchen, and they offered me if you want to stay. And I said, well, I can only stay for maybe 2 or 3 weeks because then I've got to go to the jamboree. Well, during my time at the scout camp, a kid arrived with a guitar, and my first year at the on waterfront, I was on the waterfront staff, if you will, at 13,
Hmm.
and I was helping teach swimming. And this kid had a
Wow.
guitar, and we told him it was illegal for a scout to have the guitar in a tent because it would bother people. But we will look after that guitar in the waterfront cabin. So a good buddy of mine and I learned how to play the guitar for the balance of that summer.
That's awesome.
And from there, I played guitar.
Awesome.
And
Bruce, when you're looking at, can you look straight at the camera? Yeah,
oh, like,
perfect. Yeah, because you're looking down
oh,
quite a bit. So if you kind of look
oh,
up,
I'm sorry.
that's
Oh,
okay.
that's better. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was looking down at you.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking down at you too. So,
Oh, dear. Well, I'm a novice at this, as you
well,
can
it's all
tell.
good. No, it's
Yeah.
fantastic. I just thought I'd mention that. So you did guitar at,
So
so you,
played the guitar
you
during
took the
that
guitar from
time.
the kid, stole
Took
it
the,
from
and
them.
yeah, we told him he could come anytime, but he got so busy that we just really looked after it for him.
Oh, I'm
But
sure
when
you
we got
did.
home from that camp, I borrowed a guitar from a neighbor, and by Christmas, I was really into it. I really wanted to play that guitar. So I'd be
Nice.
14, I guess, when I was really starting to play that guitar. And by the time I got to Western, that was my instrument, except for the marching band, of course.
Yeah.
But we
Hard to
formed the
hard
first,
to hard to march with a guitar.
absolutely. Yeah, couldn't hear it over the horns. But so, anyways, a friend of mine uh, called me one day at Western, and he was at University of Western as well, and said, "Look, I'm just involved with some guys. They're forming a folk singing group, and I told them that you'd be really keen to do that. So come on over. There's a practice going on." So I did. So I joined this group, long story short, we ended up with 5 players, and we called ourselves the Lowlanders. And we actually cut a vinyl record, a big 33 and a third, of course.
Nice, nice.
And I sang my way through university
Love it.
and made enough money to pay my way.
Really?
I did, yeah.
Wow.
Well, it was folk singing mecca, if you will, at that
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Kingston Trio were big, Brothers Four, there was a whole bunch of them. And we just slid along on the coattails at the tail end of the big folk singing time. And we did hootenannies for 4 years
Love it.
and drew a lot of people, and we made enough money.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it was very good. So that's the musical background for me that you said, is there things that maybe the club members wouldn't know? And there's a few of
Yeah,
them that might,
yeah, yeah.
but, and they all knew that I played guitar because we did that at Pleasantville quite a bit, singing Christmas
Oh,
carols.
nice.
Yeah. So there you are. There's the background on music, and now I'm playing it again a lot because
I love it.
I
So
don't
what
have to do all the cooking.
so what did you take at Western?
At Western, just arts. Yeah,
Yeah.
BA. Yep.
Nothing
And
specialized in the arts or
no, no. Oh, yeah, guitar.
really? Wow.
Well, no, I'm kidding you. But thank you for thinking that was possible.
There might be nowadays, right? Isn't music kind of a
Oh,
discipline?
music is.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And I guess I could have taken trumpet or guitar, but guitar was really, we were learning folk songs. We weren't trying to get a degree with that. So it's just general arts.
nice.
Yeah.
So what happened after Western?
I'm sorry.
What happened after Western? What was your next
After
move?
Western,
Yeah.
I started with General Motors. That was my
Okay.
first job in Oshawa. And I planned to spend 2 years there. And I told my boss, I was in the big parts department, but it was something that just, I don't know, it didn't appeal much. And, but I asked him, I said, look, I plan to maybe spend 2 years with GM, but in this department, is there areas where I can move every 6 months and learn more? And he was very cooperative. He said, yeah. Well, I was only there from April through to October, I guess. And my dad had just started an agency in the flooring business because he was with a company that manufactured a really good under cushion that went with carpet everywhere. And he had a partner in this agency. And his partner passed away in September of 64. That was the
Mm,
year I graduated. And he offered me a position. And he had already done that when I first graduated. And I said, no, family is commitment. And if I commit, I won't have the freedom to travel after I spend 2 years with GM.
yeah.
So, but when his partner passed away, I had to rethink that because dad really needed some help. Long story short, I joined him in October, November of that year. And that's where I spent the rest of my career was
Wow.
with the company that he started. That was 64 late. He retired in 73, I guess. Yeah, 73. And we developed that agency into a distribution business in Ontario and an agency business in the rest of Canada. So,
Wow.
yeah. So it was a great industry. I've met a lot of wonderful people through that. And I enjoyed it, retired from that. We formed a distribution company, and that's the company that I ended up with at the end. And it was a supplier to that distribution business that wanted to buy us out.
Oh,
And so
bonus.
he bought our distribution business and took over our big warehouse and all that because we had established a pretty big warehouse. We had 55,000 feet and lots of clearance and tow motors everywhere lifting the rolls of carpet. And I was traveling Canada because we had a district or an agency business coast to coast, and it was good. But when he wanted to buy it, this other company, And we were really lucky because 2 years after he bought it, they shut down that distribution business.
Oh,
The market just
wow.
tanked.
Really
It
lucky.
really
Really
tanked.
lucky. Wow.
Yep.
Talk about timing.
Oh, I know. My timing was so fortunate. It really was.
Wow.
And just an aside to that, how well lucky I was when we finalized the deal. They wanted to buy the cutting machine, and that's a fairly expensive machine that cut, wrapped, and rolled all the stuff we were selling as a distributor. And they wanted to buy that. And the accountant for that company offered me a loonie for that. And the last payments, because we had leased that, the last payments were just about to be made. So they picked that machine up for a loonie. And if I hadn't done that, the word was they probably won't buy you out. This is a
Mm,
critical part of the
yeah,
business, and they'll give you $1 for it.
that makes sense. Yeah.
So I still have that loonie in a tiny little brass frame that I tote around with me. And I
Wow.
look at it and say, always keep that in mind, B. And if there's going to be any kind of business, etc., make sure you make a decision when you feel good or if it
Yes.
doesn't feel right,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So, anyways, it worked out. I came out here after we sold that business. Carol and I came out and took a look around and decided, this looks pretty interesting. After we looked at stuff on Vancouver Island, we decided that wasn't going to work. Carol said, I can't live on an island. And there's people like that. And she just could not do that.
Yeah.
So my brother-in-law said, well, why don't you go into the interior? You haven't looked at it yet. And that was our mistake because we came here and it turned out it was the best darn thing because we
Oh,
thought, I decided coming this way, a really good friend at our ski club back east. That's another thing I did a lot of was skiing, of course. And he said, take your ski instructor's course. There's a good one up in Barrie before you head west. And so I did. I got my level 2 ski instructor and came out here. We had 3 months, Carol and I. I taught skiing up at Big White. And I had built a ski cabin back east at our ski club out of barn timbers. And I really love to do that. So this friend of mine had a timber frame business in Ontario. They produce prefab timber frame homes and big buildings and stuff, but they weren't doing anything out here. He said, well, why don't you, when you go west, check the market. And if you come back here and you're moving down to out west, let's see, set up a business. So that's what I did.
wow.
We built timber frames and for 8 years, I guess it was, because
Right
we
here in
moved out
Kelowna.
here in 1992 in
Okay.
Kelowna, set that up, but I was covering all of BC, and I really enjoyed that. That was
Oh,
good
that's
fun.
awesome.
So Carol and I did that. We set up our booth in the home shows. Went as far north as Prince George for one of the home shows. Got 2 orders up there, so that was good. And it was most enjoyable. Really good fun.
Wow.
Uh, so we stopped that at the end of, I guess it was 2000. Stopped that. And from then, I just took my flooring experience, and somebody encouraged me to become a flooring inspector.
Mm,
I did that from 2000 up to 2008 and retired from that completely. And then, because Carol and I were doing some fair bit of RVing at that time.
mm.
And yeah, so there you go. There's my career of business.
So whereabouts were you RVing, and is there any favorite spots?
Oh gosh, yeah. That's a story too. You cut me off at any time,
No, I
okay?
love your stories. It's fantastic.
Oh, okay, thank you. Um, we were looking at an RV when I retired from the timber frame business, and our neighbor right across the street up in Lillooet, because one of the homes we built was our house up in Lillooet with timber frame and it was everything about the company, so we could use it as a model. And we were there, and we went out for lunch with, and their names were Bob and Vicky Basilian, and they were really good friends. They'd lived across the street from us for about 7, 8 years at the time, and we started talking RVs. And they said, "Well, we're interested too." Bob said, "I'm not retired yet." He was the CIBC, and he said, "We're keen." Long story short, we ended up, instead of buying two motorhomes, we bought one. And Carol and I started in it because we were retired. We bought a 35 footer, got a little car to tow. And that partnership in that motorhome lasted 14 years.
Wow.
It
Wow.
was, it was so cool. And our first trip, the big long one we took us right over to actually Kleinburg, Ontario, which is where we brought our kids up. And so we covered everything down the West Coast. We did down across Texas and then up the East Coast and into Kleinburg, just north of Toronto, where we brought up our kids. And that was about a 8 month trip.
Nice.
And Bob and Vicky loaded up my car in Kelowna with all the stuff they wanted and drove cross country in my car with all their stuff. And that's how we did it. We swapped motorhome to car, and they took it, and they were gone for 7 months, I think, on their trip. And Carol and I took our stuff home in my car, and then we would use Bob's the next time.
Wow.
Yeah,
Great. That's awesome. Love it.
it was great. Shauna, it was the people when we told them about it just couldn't believe it. Yeah.
That's
So,
smart because those
and as
RVs
you
are
know,
those RVs are
sorry.
so those RVs are so expensive to get. So what how smart sharing it and stuff.
Oh gosh, yeah. And we were told at the dealership where we bought it, well, they'll be back for their second motorhome within a year. And the salesman that sold it to us, he bet them $100. So we went into him about 3 years later and said, he bet $100. So we told him we were really kidding him. He didn't lose just the 100; he lost 200. It was a $200 swing because he didn't win the 100, and it cost him 100.
So
Yeah.
tell me about your kids.
Okay, two kids. Carolyn had two, boy and a girl. Boy first in '69, and Paula in '72. And nice thing about Kleinburg, they went to public school there together, of course, in the same school. And then when Jeff graduated from public, he had to go to King City, which was a bus ride away, to start high school. And then Paula went to the same high school. And of course, we got into skiing in a big way because when the year Paula was born in '72 is the year I built the ski cabin.
Mm,
And
perfect.
that's a saga, which is great fun because I was buying used barns that were being torn down. And the barns consisted of huge, beautiful timbers.
Yeah.
And so that's what I built my cabin from. And but the kids really got into skiing, so they skied on the Ontario ski team, both of them,
Oh, really? Wow.
at one point. And Jeff retired from that when he went to university. Paula was still going with the Ontario team. Um, and Jeff decided he didn't want to try to make the Olympics because it's such a uphill grind.
Mhm.
And there's a few from our ski club that did make the Olympics, but of the number of racers there was only two or three that would make that Olympic team. So he decided to go to the University of British Columbia,
Oh.
and he took up his skiing there, just with the team there. And Paula got a phone call from a coach in Sierra Nevada College, which is up on Lake Tahoe in the States. And um, she said, phoned me at the office. She says, "Dad, I just got a call from a coach down in the States wondering if I would be interested in going down and skiing with them." Long story short, she got a 4-year degree from Sierra Nevada College and it was fully paid for, everything,
Nice, nice.
because of her skiing.
Full ride. That's awesome.
Isn't that something?
That is
Yeah.
something.
So that was really good. And through that, that's where she met her hubby,
Mm.
who was in the ski program. And that's who she married. And they're the owners of that bald-faced cat ski business in Nelson.
Wow. Very
So
cool.
they stayed with it. And son Jeff, when he finished his degree at, no, his first year at BC, he saw a poster that said they were looking for firefighters.
Mm.
Firefighters were going to be part of what they called the Rap Attack crew. And they're the ones that jump out of helicopters and access fires with gear that's lowered down to them after they've been lowered down. And they fight fires unaccessible by vehicle.
Wow.
They get them out really quickly, hopefully. And he applied for the job, got it, spent 4 years of his summers doing that. Liked it so much, he's a teacher, so he had his summers off still. And he ended up instructing at the Rap Attack base for 3 years.
Wow. Very
So
cool.
again, he put himself through university with that job.
Fantastic. Wow.
So lucky Carol and I.
Yeah. Very lucky. That's very cool.
Yeah,
And so what's he doing? He's still teaching now?
he's still teaching, but I think he's getting close to retiring now because he's turning 53 this year.
And where does he
Yeah,
teach?
teaches in Revelstoke.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
So you got one
so
in
he's
Revelstoke and one in Nelson.
exactly.
Nice and
Yeah,
close enough and beautiful
exactly.
areas.
It's great. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I was just in Revelstoke last week and a weekend ago up in Nelson.
Oh,
So I
perfect.
get to see them.
Perfect. And beautiful locations. That's awesome.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you say, and you know the story, Carol passed away in '09,
Yeah.
and that was a huge loss to all of us. Yeah. And then I thought I had found somebody, but that's about all I can comment on it at this point because it's
Fair,
all over. It's
fair,
done.
fair enough. Well, let's
And
switch gears and talk about Rotary. So what does Rotary mean to you?
it means a lot. Um, I wasn't a member when we moved here. My brother was a member in Ottawa and he loved Rotary. And I think he had 34 some odd years of perfect attendance because
Wow, perfect attendance.
perfect, because he made it a point, no matter where they were in the world, and he was quite a few places, he would always go to Rotary meetings. And that meant so much to him. And when I say he was in South America at one point, he was in Kenya, he was in Australia. Um, and then when he moved back into Ottawa full time, and then they started RVing. He was an RVer way before me. He had 3 years on me. And everywhere they went in North America, he did makeup meetings.
Wow, it's
And
amazing.
he met more people. And so when we moved out here, he said, Bruce, you got to join Rotary. And so I was here 2 years. We moved out here in 92, and in 94, or in 92, I met Ralph Rorlach. And of course, Ralph was a member of our club,
Mhm.
not now. And he was a designer builder of homes and a whole bunch of great things. And I was doing a survey on timber frame building, and he got quite excited about that. We ended up doing about 3 or 4 projects together, but he sponsored me into our Rotary Club. And my brother had said, when you do join in Kelowna, don't join the biggest and the oldest because, the guys will be old and blah, 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 and get into a young club. Well, Kelowna was the biggest and the oldest. And it was the best move I made
Yeah.
because there was guys in there with history of Rotary in Kelowna. And honestly, Shauna, that was the best thing.
That's awesome.
It really was. I was so lucky. And Ralph and I became real close friends because of that. And then I met a lot of people, and then you know what it's like,
I
the
love it.
fellowship.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah.
so good.
Uh, and for me, it was terrific. It really was, and it still is
Yeah.
because I'm pretty close to a whole bunch of people,
Yeah.
special ones like you.
Oh, back at you, my friend. I love it there. And you're one of my
Yeah.
favorites, as you know. So
Oh,
always love
thank you,
seeing you. You make my day better,
and you
always.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Oh.
too.
So
Yep.
I know you've done a lot of stuff at Rotary, like you've been on different committees and done a lot of volunteering and I don't know, you might have even been on the board at some point in time. Did you want to share some of your favorite activities that you've done through Rotary?
Yep. Oh yeah, for sure. Because it has been a beautiful part. And one of your notes was yeah. Oh yeah, we've covered that one. Have I participated? And that's the whole key to success, I think, in enjoying Rotary. And it started with me joining committees
Mhm.
and had a really fun committee with the car raffle that we used to do. And I really enjoyed that. That was great fun. And so I was on that. I got on the committee that was trying to raise money to do the Rotary Center for the Arts. And Bill Redmond had formed that committee. So I served on that committee with him because it was a fundraising committee with all of the district clubs close by involved. And yeah, so I enjoyed that. And volunteering, a real soft spot for the Pleasantville home.
Yes. Yes.
That I really enjoyed volunteering with guys like Ron Pinskelny, Sheldon Folger, who else still around? Anyway, it's where I met a whole bunch of really keen Rotarians, and and it was not only the maintenance on the building itself, replacing flooring and toilets and drywall repairs and all the stuff required to run that kind of thing. And Sheldon was just one of the key guys on that, Sheldon Folger. And what a guy, what a Rotarian, unreal. And so I followed him, and yeah, he taught me so much about that. Um, Activities, yeah, anything to do with Pleasantville, we did the singing of Christmas carols and stuff. So I was on the board. I don't know when I first got on the board, but ended up being president in 2004-05, which is the centennial year.
Yeah.
And yeah, the boards were great fun. I enjoyed that. And anybody who joins Rotary, I would always recommend definitely get involved in committees. That is a wonderful way to start and never pass an opportunity to maybe get on the board, depending on your business. And if you've got the time, uh, a great experience, no question.
That's awesome. Anything else
Sorry,
you'd
I'm looking down.
like it's easy.
Look up, Bruce.
I look down at you too all the time, so I'm doing the same thing. Anything else you'd like to share about Rotary or your journey or that we haven't covered?
Hmm. Well, joined, as I told you, in '94. Met great people and in this whole area. Um, I've been to a couple of district conferences.
Oh,
Went to the one in Chicago, which was my year. Would love to have gone to an exotic country, but it's the way the cookie crumbles.
yeah.
And but it was wonderful. Derek Bottomley was our district governor, and he was there. And the flag man from Yakima was there with flags. And I mean, he had a collection of every flag in the world. And he volunteered to take his whole collection to Chicago for the centennial celebration.
Wow.
And at the end of the big celebration parade, and these flags were all somewhere in that parade. And my brother and sister in law, this is my brother Roger, who has that perfect attendance. he and Ann had their RV in Chicago at the parking lot for the Rotarians who were RVing to it.
Nice.
And so Roger and Ann, my brother and sister-in-law, Carol and I, um, our district governor, Derek Bottomley, and his wife, Joan, and our flag man and his wife from Yakima rolled up 350 flags at the end of the parade.
Wow. Wow.
We
Cool.
we actually ended up working that parade.
No doubt.
Yeah. So there's those kind of experiences with people of like mind.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty, I think, of Rotary.
I totally agree. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like Julie said, it's a beating heart that gets connected no matter what Rotarian you meet across the world. We all have the same beating heart.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a great story in I think it's the current Rotarian magazine, about the current president on a trip, a 6-week trip in Europe to give the current president at the time, so just prior to June of this year, time to do some stuff that she had to do in her year. This was a substitute thing. And they were going into a certain country in Europe, uh, where some of her relatives used to be. Long story short, you got to read the article, but the connection made because of Rotary put her in touch with people in this town that she was a cousin in this town that she had never met.
Wow.
I mean, and it was all because of Rotary.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know
Isn't that great?
you hear so many awesome stories like somebody getting stranded in a city and then they reach out to somebody in Rotary that connects with somebody in the local Rotary and they come to the rescue and help people out. Like you just hear so many things. Like it's like you got a family everywhere around the world that you can kind of reach out to and either offer help or ask for help or work together or collaborate. It's pretty awesome.
Super. That's a good way to put it. You've got a family everywhere in the world.
Yeah, you're not
Yeah.
alone. Yeah.
You're not alone. Yeah. We experienced that. We in our RV trips. We were on the Baja at one point in an RV park near a little town called, and I can't recall the name right off the bat, but it was on the east coast of the Baja, so faced onto the sea on that side. I've drawn a blank on that too. But anyway, we ended up. Uh, there was a brand new Rotary Club started the first year we were there because the first one was only Spanish, and a retired district governor from California was there wanting to make it a bilingual if he could, and he did. The second year we were down, it was bilingual. We met the police chief of this little town, and they had a shrimp festival, and the Rotary Club had a shrimp booth,
Nice.
and Carol and I volunteered to help out in the shrimp booth. And the police chief walks by, and he was in the club, of course, and he said hello to Carol and Bruce in this booth. And he was the police chief, San Felipe. That's the name of the
Mm,
town.
nice.
And I thought, how would I have met the police chief if I was not a Rotarian?
Right?
And he told us to have a good time, but don't drink too much of the beer, or you could end up. I said, well, we know somebody that's involved in this, and it's you, so you're not going to invest. So that kind of thing brings the world smaller.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. You had another question about Rotary. Um, oh yeah, and I think we've covered a bit of it. What members of the club do I admire and why? And I mean, I could pick names. Oops, are you there?
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
The picture's gone.
Oh,
Have you still got me?
I still got you. We're good. We're good.
Oh, we can keep going then.
We can keep going. Yes.
Darn, I can't see you.
Oh,
Darn.
sorry. I'm
Anyway,
here.
okay. What I had down here was what members do I admire, and there's so many good members. I just put down I admire the people who really do get involved, and they're easy to do that.
Hmm.
Board members, committee members, chairs of committee. I think that is really important. And it's a great way, especially if there's a committee that needs help
Yeah,
or needs someone to chair it. It doesn't have to be an onerous situation, that's for sure, but get involved. And
yeah,
that's what I really admire. Yeah, just like what you've done.
yeah.
You've taken on this responsibility of what you've done over the last number of years. And boy, you've added so much to
Oh,
this club.
I love it. I love it. I love the group. I just feel very attached to everybody. Sorry you can't see me.
Yeah, darn. Well,
Was
how
that
would
was
I how would I bring it back up? I must have touched a thing on the. I wonder
that's
if
all
it's
good. I
this.
still got you. So that's the important thing. So was there anything else you wanted to share, Bruce?
Okay, doke. Let me see. No, I think we have covered a fair bit. You've let me ramble.
I
My
love it.
God.
I love your stories. I
You,
always love talking to you.
well, it's great to talk to you. And Shauna, thanks for what you're doing for our club, doing this. It takes your time and effort to make it happen.
Oh,
And
it's
you
a
are
it's a it's a labor of
you are
love
loved
for
and
sure.
you are loved and appreciated.
Oh, thanks, Bruce. That's sweet. Okay, well, I'll sign off here and
Okay, doke.
thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Shauna.